First contact and intrigue. The vast emptiness of space stretched out before Dr. Ilara Chen as she gazed through the reinforced viewport of Deep Space Research Station Omega. Her dark eyes, flecked with gold, reflected the distant stars as she absently twirled a strand of her short, black hair around her finger. 6 months into her posting as the station's lead xenobiologist, Ilara was beginning to wonder if she'd made a mistake accepting this assignment. "Anything exciting out there, Doc?" The gruff voice of Commander Jackson broke through her reverie. Ilara turned, offering a wry smile to the station's commanding officer. "Just the usual cosmic void, Commander. Though I swear that Nebula over there winked at me." Jackson chuckled, his weathered face crinkling with amusement. "Well, at least someone's flirting with you out here. Might be the most action any of us see for a while." As if on cue, a shrill alarm cut through the air, causing both of them to jump. Red warning lights bathed the command center in an eerie glow as the station's AI announced, "Unidentified signal detected. Origin. Uncharted Sector 9 Alpha." "Speak of the devil," Jackson muttered, rushing to the central console. "What have we got, Aria?" The AI's holographic avatar flickered to life, a translucent blue woman with streams of data flowing through her form. "Signal analysis indicates a distress call, Commander. Unknown origin, non-standard encryption. Shall I attempt to decrypt?" Jackson nodded, his expression grim. "Do it. And alert all senior staff. Looks like things just got interesting." Within minutes, Ilara found herself in the briefing room alongside the station's other department heads. The tension was palpable as they waited for Aria to complete her analysis. "Decryption complete," Aria announced. "The signal appears to be of alien origin. Translating now." A garbled voice filled the room, punctuated by strange clicking sounds. "Request. Assistance. Pursued by. Reproductive cycle. Danger." "Well, that's cryptic," Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the station's chief medical officer, remarked dryly. Ilara leaned forward, her scientific curiosity piqued. "Aria, can you extrapolate any information about the species based on the vocal patterns?" "Negative, Dr. Chen. Insufficient data for accurate extrapolation." Commander Jackson stood, his decision already made. "All right, people. We're the only Federation presence in this sector. Our standing orders are clear. We investigate and render aid if possible. Dr. Chen, Dr. Tanaka, prepare your teams for potential first contact and medical emergencies. Lieutenant Cooper, ready a security detail. We launch in 30 minutes. As the team scrambled to prepare, Ilara felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. This was the moment she'd been waiting for, a chance to study a truly alien life form. But the ominous nature of the distress call left her with a sense of unease. The journey to the signal's origin took just over 4 hours in the station's fastest shuttle. As they dropped out of FTL, a collective gasp went up from the crew. Before them hung a massive ship, easily 10 times the size of their shuttle. Its organic, almost chitinous design was unlike anything in the Federation database. "Life signs detected," Aria reported. "Multiple non-human biosignatures. The ship appears to be operating on minimal power." "Open a channel," Jackson ordered. "Unknown vessel, this is Commander Jackson of the Federation Deep Space Research Station Omega. We've received your distress call and are here to render assistance. Please respond." For a long moment, there was only silence. Then, with a crackle of static, a response came through. "Greetings, Commander Jackson. I am Anksulara, medical officer of the Zarkili refugee ship Nexus. We are in dire need of your help." The voice was melodious yet alien, with an underlying buzz that sent shivers down Ilara's spine. She exchanged a glance with Dr. Tanaka, seeing her own mix of fascination and concern mirrored in the other woman's eyes. "We're preparing to dock now, Anksulara," Jackson replied. "Can you tell us more about your situation?" There was a pause before Ancilera responded, her voice tinged with what sounded like embarrassment. Our reproductive cycle has been disrupted by our long journey. Many of our people are entering a state of uncontrolled mating frenzy. We fear for their safety and sanity. And worse, the ones who drove us from our home world have followed us here. Ilara's mind raced with the implications. An alien species with a biology so different from their own that space travel disrupted their reproductive cycle. The scientific possibilities were staggering. As the shuttle maneuvered into the Zarkali ship's docking bay, Jackson turned to his team. "All right, people. This is first contact in the most extreme circumstances. Dr. Chen, Dr. Tanaka, your priority is to assess the medical situation and see what we can do to help. Lieutenant Cooper, stay alert. We don't know what we're walking into." The airlock cycled, and as the door hissed open, Ilara got her first look at Zarkali. Ancilera stood before them, her form both familiar and alien. She was roughly humanoid, with 2 arms and 2 legs, but her skin was a shimmering iridescent blue. 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern, blinked at them independently. Most striking were the feather-like appendages that seemed to serve as both hair and sensory organs, currently lying flat against her head in what Ilara instinctively read as a sign of distress. "Welcome aboard the Nexus," Ancilera said, her mouth moving in ways that didn't quite match the words they heard. Some kind of real-time translation, Ilara realized. "Please follow me. There is much to explain, and I fear we have little time." As they made their way deeper into the ship, Ilara's senses were assaulted by alien sights, sounds, and smells. The corridors pulsed with bioluminescent light, and a faint, sweet scent hung in the air. But underlying it all was a tension, a feeling of barely contained chaos. They passed by sealed doors, behind which Ilara could hear sounds of commotion. Ancilera noticed her curious glance and explained, "Those of our people who have already succumbed to the frenzy. We've had to isolate them for their own safety." In the ship's medical bay, Ancilera brought up a holographic display of Zarkali physiology. "Our species reproduces through a complex process of genetic recombination," she explained. "Normally, this is a carefully controlled biological process tied to specific environmental cues. But the stress of our exodus and the strange radiation in this part of space has thrown our entire population into chaos." Dr. Tanaka leaned in, her eyes wide with fascination. "Fascinating. And you said there are others pursuing you." Ancilera's feathers rippled in what Ilara interpreted as agitation. "Yes, the Vorthak Dominion. They see us as a resource to be exploited. Our biology produces certain compounds they find valuable. They drove us from our home, and now they hunt us across the stars." Commander Jackson's expression hardened. "Well, they'll have to go through us to get to you. The Federation has strict laws against exploitation of sentient species. You're under our protection now." As if in response to his words, a new alarm blared through the ship. Ancilera's 4 eyes widened in terror. "They're here," she whispered. "The Vorthak have found us." Ilara felt her heart racing as she looked from the terrified Ancilera to the grim-faced Commander Jackson. In the span of a few hours, their quiet research mission had turned into a potential interstellar conflict, and at the center of it all was a biological mystery that threatened to tear their new alien allies apart from the inside. As the distant sound of weapons fire echoed through the ship, Ilara realized that her wish for excitement had been granted in spades. Now she could only hope that human ingenuity and determination would be enough to face the challenges ahead. The stage was set for a clash of species, a race against time, and a test of humanity's ability to adapt to the unknown. Little did Ilara know, her role in the events to come would change the course of human-alien relations forever. Cultural exchange and growing tension. The next few days aboard Deep Space Research Station Omega were a whirlwind of activity. The station, originally designed for a crew of 200, was now home to over 500 Zarkali refugees. Every available space had been converted into makeshift living quarters, and the air hummed with the constant chitter of alien voices. Dr. Ilara Chen found herself at the center of it all, working tirelessly alongside Dr. Tanaka and Angsalura to understand and stabilize the Zarkali's unique biology. The medical bay had become a curious blend of human and alien technology, with Federation diagnostic tools interfacing with pulsating Zarkali biotech. Fascinating, Ilara murmured, examining a holographic representation of Zarkali DNA. Their genetic structure is like nothing I've ever seen. It's almost modular. Angsalura nodded, her head feathers rippling in what Ilara had come to recognize as a sign of approval. Yes, it allows for rapid adaptation to new environments, but it also makes us vulnerable to certain influences. Dr. Tanaka frowned, adjusting her glasses as she pored over a datapad. Like whatever's triggering this mating frenzy. We're seeing hormone levels off the charts, but we can't pinpoint the cause. A commotion outside the med bay drew their attention. 2 security officers were restraining a male Zarkali who seemed to be in the throes of the frenzy. His skin pulsed with vivid patterns of bioluminescence, and his movements were erratic. Another one, Angsalura sighed, her feathers drooping. The frequency is increasing. We must find a solution soon, or... She didn't need to finish the sentence. They all knew the stakes. If they couldn't stabilize the Zarkali population, the entire station could descend into chaos. As the days wore on, Ilara found herself spending more and more time with Angsalura. Despite their physiological differences, she found the alien doctor to be a kindred spirit, curious, compassionate, and driven by a desire to help her people. One evening, as they shared a meal in the station's crowded mess hall, Angsalura opened up about her people's plight. "We were a peaceful species," she said, her 4 eyes distant with memory. "Our world was a paradise of bioluminescent forests and crystal seas. But when the Vorthak discovered the unique properties of our biology, everything changed." Ilara listened intently, her food forgotten. "What did they want from you?" Angsalura's feathers rippled with distress. "Our reproductive cycle produces a compound that, to them, is the ultimate narcotic. It enhances their natural telepathic abilities to godlike levels. They became addicted, and their addiction drove them to conquer." "That's horrible," Ilara breathed, reaching out instinctively to comfort her friend. Her hand hesitated for a moment before gently touching Angsalura's arm. The alien skin was cool and slightly textured, like fine silk. Angsalura's feathers quivered at the touch, and for a moment, Ilara thought she saw a flash of bioluminescence race across her skin. But it was gone so quickly she might have imagined it. "Your kindness gives me hope, Ilara," Angsalura said softly. "Perhaps here, among your people, we can finally find peace." As the days turned into weeks, the station settled into an uneasy routine. The human crew worked to integrate their Zarkali guests, learning to navigate the complexities of interspecies communication and cohabitation. But beneath the surface, tension simmered. Commander Jackson called a meeting of the senior staff to address the growing concerns. "All right, people, let's hear it," he said, his voice gruff with fatigue. "What's the situation?" Lieutenant Cooper, head of security, spoke first. "Sir, we're seeing an increase in altercations between humans and Zarkali. Nothing serious yet, but there's a lot of misunderstanding and fear on both sides." Dr. Tanaka nodded in agreement. "The medical bay is overwhelmed. We're treating injuries from accidental contact with Zarkali bioluminescent secretions, and the number of Zarkali entering the mating frenzy is increasing daily." Ilara leaned forward, her eyes bright with a mix of excitement and concern. "But we're making progress. Angsalura and I think we've identified the trigger for the frenzy. It's a combination of stress hormones and some kind of radiation unique to this sector of space." "Can you stop it?" Jackson asked, his voice tense. Ilara hesitated. "Maybe. We're working on a treatment that could stabilize their hormone levels, but it's risky. We don't fully understand all the implications yet." Jackson sighed, rubbing his temples. Keep working on it. In the meantime, we need to address the cultural issues. Dr. Chen, you seem to have developed a rapport with the Zarkali. I want you to organize some kind of cultural exchange program. Help our people understand each other better. Ilara nodded, her mind already racing with ideas. Yes, sir. I'll get right on it. As the meeting adjourned, Ilara couldn't shake a feeling of unease. They were making progress, yes, but would it be enough? And what of the Vorthak threat? The alien hunters hadn't been seen since that first encounter, but Ilara doubted they had given up so easily. Her concerns were justified. That very night, as she worked late in the lab with Angselara, the station's alarms blared to life. Attention all personnel. Araya's calm voice echoed through the station. Multiple unidentified vessels detected on approach vector. All hands to battle stations. This is not a drill. Ilara and Angselara exchanged a look of horror. The Vorthak had found them. As chaos erupted around them, Ilara made a split-second decision. Angselara, the treatment we've been working on. I think it's time we tested it. The Zarkali doctor's feathers stood on end. But the risks. We're out of time, Ilara insisted, already moving to prepare the experimental compound. If the Vorthak board us, we'll need every Zarkali clear-headed and able to fight. As the sounds of battle began to echo through the station, Ilara and Angselara raced against time to prepare their untested treatment. The fate of two species now hung in the balance, and Ilara could only hope that human ingenuity and Zarkali biology would be enough to face the coming storm. Little did they know, the events about to unfold would push the boundaries of both science and interspecies relations in ways no one could have predicted. Crisis and ingenuity. The station shuddered as another volley of Vorthak weapons fire impacted the shields. In the medical bay, vials clinked and equipment rattled, but Dr. Ilara Chen's hands remained steady as she prepared the experimental treatment. Angselara, I need you to be our test subject, Ilara said, her voice tense but determined. Your biology is closest to baseline Zarkali. If it works on you, it should work on the others. The alien doctor's feathers rippled with a mixture of fear and resolve. I understand. I trust you, Ilara. As Ilara administered the treatment, the med bay doors hissed open. Commander Jackson strode in, his face grim. Status report, doctors. Please tell me you have good news. We're testing the treatment now, sir, Ilara replied, her eyes fixed on the medical scanner monitoring Angselara's vital signs. If it works, it should stabilize the Zarkali hormones and prevent more from succumbing to the mating frenzy. Jackson nodded, then turned to Angselara. And what of your people? Can they fight? Angselara's four eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture Ilara had learned indicated deep thought. Those not affected by the frenzy are willing to stand with you, Commander. But our biology, we are not warriors by nature. Any help is appreciated, Jackson said grimly. The Vorthak have breached the outer defenses. It's only a matter of time before they board us. Suddenly, Angselara gasped, her skin flashing with brilliant patterns of bioluminescence. Ilara rushed to her side, scanner in hand. Angselara, are you all right? What's happening? The Zarkali doctor's feathers stood on end, quivering. Ida, I feel strange. Clear. Focused. The urges. They're still there, but controllable. Ilara's face broke into a wide smile. It's working. Commander, we need to mass-produce this treatment immediately. It could be the key to saving both our peoples. Jackson was already moving towards the comm panel. I'll have every available crew member report to assist. How long until we can treat all the Zarkali? Ilara did some quick mental calculations, with everyone helping, maybe 2 hours. But sir, there's something else. An idea. She quickly outlined her plan, watching as Jackson's expression shifted from skepticism to grudging admiration. It's insane, he said finally. But given our situation, insane might be exactly what we need. Do it. As Jackson left to coordinate the station's defense, Ilara turned to Anxelara. I need you to gather your people. All of them, even those affected by the frenzy. Can you do that? Anxelara nodded, her feathers now glowing with a soft, steady light. Yes, but Ilara, what you're proposing, the risks. Ilara took her friend's hand, marveling for a moment at the alien texture of her skin. I know, but it's our best chance. Your people's biology is the key to defeating the Vorthak. We just need to redirect it. For the next 2 hours, the medical bay was a hive of activity. Crew members worked alongside Zarkeli, synthesizing and distributing the hormone treatment. Ilara moved from group to group, explaining her plan and coordinating efforts. Just as the last group of Zarkeli received their treatment, the station rocked violently. Araya's voice came over the intercom, its usual calm tinged with urgency. Alert! Vorthak boarding parties detected in sectors 3, 7, and 12. All personnel, enact defense protocols. Ilara looked at Anxelara, both of them knowing that the moment of truth had arrived. Are your people ready? Anxelara's feathers rippled with determination. We are. Let us show the Vorthak that we are not merely prey to be hunted. Together, they made their way to the central hub of the station. The scene that greeted them was one of controlled chaos. Human security forces had erected barricades, their weapons trained on the sealed bulkheads. Behind them, hundreds of Zarkali stood ready, their skin pulsing with barely contained energy. Commander Jackson approached, his uniform scorched and a nasty cut above his eye. Dr. Chen, please tell me this crazy plan of yours is ready to go. Ilara nodded, trying to project more confidence than she felt. Yes, sir. On your command. Jackson took a deep breath, then keyed his comm. All hands, this is the commander. Enact Operation Pheromone Storm. May whatever gods you believe in have mercy on us all. With that, Ilara activated the station's environmental controls. A fine mist began to spray from the air vents, carrying with it a carefully engineered blend of Zarkeli pheromones and the compound from their reproductive cycle. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, as the mist spread, the Zarkeli began to glow. It started as a soft shimmer, but quickly built to a dazzling display of bioluminescence. The air crackled with bioelectric energy. Suddenly, the bulkhead exploded inward. Vorthak warriors poured through the breach, their alien forms a nightmarish blend of insectoid and reptilian features. But as they entered the mist-filled air, they faltered. The lead Vorthak, a massive creature with gleaming black carapace, let out a shriek that sent chills down Ilara's spine. What is this sorcery? Ilara stepped forward, her voice steady despite her pounding heart. It's called science. Your addiction to Zarkeli biology ends here. The Vorthak warriors writhed, clearly disoriented by the concentrated pheromones. Some fell to their knees, overcome by the sensory overload. Seizing the moment, Jackson bellowed, Now, push them back. Human and Zarkeli alike surged forward. The station's defenders, immune to the effects thanks to Ilara's treatment, fought with renewed vigor. The Zarkeli, their natural bioluminescence enhanced by the mist, became living weapons. Each touch sent jolts of bioelectricity through the Vorthak, short-circuiting their neural systems. As the battle raged, Ilara found herself working side by side with Anxelara, using their knowledge of xenobiology to direct the most effective attacks. It was a surreal scene. Scientists turned warriors, using the very biology the Vorthak sought to exploit against them. Slowly but surely, the tide of battle turned. The Vorthak, overwhelmed by the pheromone mist and the unexpected resistance, began to retreat. Hours later, as the last Vorthak ship fled the system, Ilara stood in the wreckage of the central hub. The air still shimmered with residual energy, and the floor was slick with alien fluids. But they had won. Commander Jackson approached, looking exhausted but triumphant. Dr. Chen, I don't know whether to court-martial you for recklessness or recommend you for a commendation." Ilara managed a tired smile. "How about we settle for a long nap and a strong drink, sir?" As the adrenaline of battle faded, Ilara sought out Anxelera. She found her friend staring out a viewport, her feathers gently waving. "Are you all right?" Ilara asked softly. Anxelera turned, her 4 eyes blinking in that thoughtful sequence. "I am uncertain. We have won our freedom, but at what cost? We have become weapons, the very thing we fled from." Ilara placed a comforting hand on Anxelera's shoulder. "No, you've become defenders. You've taken control of your biology, turned a vulnerability into a strength. That's something to be proud of." As they stood there, watching the stars together, Ilara realized that this was only the beginning. The galaxy now knew of the Zarkali, of their unique biology and its potential. The challenges ahead would be many, but facing them together, she felt a spark of hope for the future. Little did she know, the greatest challenge and the greatest discovery was yet to come. Battle for survival. The days following the Vorthak attack were a blur of activity. The station, battered but not broken, hummed with the sounds of repairs and renewed purpose. Dr. Ilara Chen found herself at the center of it all, coordinating efforts to understand and harness the newfound synergy between human and Zarkali biology. In the makeshift lab that had once been the station's hydroponics bay, Ilara and Anxelera worked tirelessly. Holographic displays flickered with complex molecular structures as they refined the pheromone treatment that had turned the tide of battle. "If we can stabilize the compound," Ilara mused, manipulating a 3D model of a Zarkali hormone, "we might be able to create a more permanent solution to the mating frenzy." Anxelera's feathers rippled with excitement, and perhaps find a way to neutralize its addictive effects on the Vorthak. "We could end this conflict without further bloodshed." Their work was interrupted by the arrival of Commander Jackson, his face grave. "Doctors, we have a situation. Long-range sensors have detected a Vorthak battle fleet on approach. They'll be here in less than 48 hours. Ilara felt her heart sink. "But how?" "We destroyed their ships." "Apparently, those were just the advanced scouts," Jackson said grimly. "This is the main invasion force, and they've adapted their ship's life support systems to filter out our pheromone mist." Anxelera's feathers drooped. "Then we are defenseless against them." "Not necessarily," Ilara said, an idea forming. "Commander, how much of the pheromone compound do we have left?" Jackson raised an eyebrow. "About half our original supply." "Why?" "Triumph and New Horizons." The interior of the Vorthak flagship was a nightmarish blend of organic and mechanical components. Pulsing veins of bioluminescent fluid ran alongside crackling conduits of dark energy. Ilara and Anxelera moved cautiously through the corridors, their steps muffled by the strange, spongy material that made up the floor. "The ship's biology is remarkable," Anxelera whispered, her feathers rippling with a mix of fascination and revulsion. "It's as if they've merged themselves with their technology." Ilara nodded grimly. "Which means our pheromone compound could have even more unpredictable effects. We need to find their main life support hub and fast." As they navigated the labyrinthine vessel, they encountered pockets of resistance. Vorthak warriors, disoriented but still dangerous, lashed out with razor-sharp claws and bioelectric weaponry. Ilara and Anxelera worked in perfect synchronization, using their combined knowledge of xenobiology to incapacitate their foes with precise applications of the pheromone compound. After what felt like hours of tense navigation and close calls, they finally reached the central chamber of the flagship. The massive room pulsed with an eerie, otherworldly light. At its center stood a towering structure that could only be the main life support system. "Ilara, look." Anxelera pointed to a group of pods surrounding the central pillar. Inside each, a Vorthak floated in a viscous fluid, tendrils connecting their bodies to the ship itself. "They've integrated themselves completely with the vessel," Ilara breathed, her scientific curiosity momentarily overriding her fear. "This isn't just a ship, it's a giant, living organism." A booming voice echoed through the chamber, causing both of them to jump. "Clever little prey," it rumbled. From the shadows emerged a massive vorthak, easily twice the size of those they'd encountered before. Its carapace gleamed with an iridescent sheen, and its eyes glowed with malevolent intelligence. "I am Zarthuk, hive mind of this fleet," the creature continued. "Did you really think your primitive tricks would stop us? We are evolution perfected, the ultimate fusion of biology and technology." Ilara stepped forward, her voice steady despite her pounding heart. "Your perfection is built on the exploitation of other species. It ends here." Zarthuk's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. Bold words from such fragile beings. "Your pheromone weapons are useless now. We have adapted." "Have you?" Ilara asked, a sly smile playing on her lips. She nodded to Angsulara, who began to glow with an intensity that lit up the entire chamber. Zarthuk recoiled, its compound eyes widening in surprise. "What is this?" Ilara's voice rang out clear and confident. "This is the power of cooperation, of two species working in harmony. Angsulara's body is now producing a hyper-concentrated form of the compound, one your adaptations can't filter out." As she spoke, Angsulara's bioluminescence grew brighter and brighter. Waves of energy pulsed from her body, washing over the vorthak and the ship's systems. Zarthuk screamed, a sound that reverberated through the very structure of the vessel. "Ilara, now!" Angsulara cried out, her voice trained with effort. "I can't hold this for long." Moving quickly, Ilara rushed to the central life support pillar. She pulled out a vial of the stabilizing agent they'd prepared and began to interface it with the ship's systems. Her fingers flew over alien controls, guided by intuition and the countless hours she'd spent studying vorthak and Zarkili biology. Around them, chaos erupted. The ship groaned and shuddered as if in pain. Vorthak warriors stumbled into the chamber, only to collapse as waves of Angsulara's energy washed over them. Zarthuk thrashed wildly, its massive form convulsing as it fought against the effects of the compound. "It's done." Ilara shouted triumphantly as the last drop of the stabilizing agent entered the system. A pulse of energy surged through the ship, and suddenly, everything went quiet. Zarthuk, the mighty hive mind, slumped to the ground. When it spoke again, its voice was weak, almost childlike. "What? What have you done to us?" Ilara approached cautiously, Angsulara by her side. "We've freed you," she said softly. "The compound has neutralized your addiction to Zarkili biology. You're no longer slaves to your own twisted evolution." As if to prove her point, the tendrils connecting the vorthak and the pods began to detach. One by one, they emerged, looking dazed but clear-eyed for the first time in generations. Over the next few hours, a ceasefire was negotiated. The vorthak, freed from their biological compulsion, were ready to listen. Ilara and Angsulara, along with Commander Jackson, found themselves at the center of historic peace talks between three species. Weeks later, as the last of the vorthak ships prepared to depart, Ilara stood in the station's observation deck. The view before her was breathtaking. Vorthak and Zarkili vessels side by side, their crews working together to establish new colonies on uninhabited worlds. "Quite a sight, isn't it?" Commander Jackson said, joining her at the window. "Hard to believe just a short while ago we were at war." Ilara nodded, a sense of pride and wonder filling her. "It's amazing what can happen when we choose understanding over fear, cooperation over conflict." "The Federation agrees," Jackson said with a smile. "They're establishing a permanent xenobiology research center here. And they want you to lead it, Dr. Chen." Ilara's eyes widened in surprise. "Me? But what about?" "Your Zarkili friend," Jackson finished for her. "Well, it just so happens we need a co-director with intimate knowledge of non-human biology." As if on cue, Angsulara entered the observation deck, her feathers glowing softly with contentment. Ilara, have you heard the news? We're to work together permanently. Ilara felt a warmth spread through her chest as she looked at Ancillera. In the alien's four eyes, she saw not just a colleague, but a dear friend, and perhaps something more. I guess we've got a lot of work ahead of us, Ilara said, unable to keep the excitement from her voice. Ancillera's feathers rippled in agreement. Indeed, the galaxy is vast, and there are so many mysteries waiting to be unraveled. As they stood there, human, Zarkali, and the stars beyond, Ilara felt a profound sense of possibility. They had faced unimaginable challenges, pushed the boundaries of science and understanding, and emerged stronger for it. Whatever the future held, whatever new alien life forms they might encounter, Ilara knew that the key to success lay in embracing diversity and finding strength in their differences. The adventure was just beginning, and she couldn't wait to see where it would lead. As the station hummed with activity, preparing for its new role as a center of interspecies cooperation and scientific discovery, Ilara Chen smiled. In the vast expanse of space, humanity had found not just new allies, but a new understanding of their place in the cosmos. And she, along with her Zarkali friends, would be at the forefront of this grand new chapter in galactic history.